praise. Amen. For our time with young children, I wanted to talk to the kids about a game I read about one time. There's this game, it's a little bit like rocks, paper, scissors, which I know some of you are playing at school because you can do it without touching each other. It's called Giants, Wizards, and Dwarves. And the first step, the first job you have, is to make sure you have identified which one you are. So I'll give you a split second here. Do you think you are a giant, a wizard, or a dwarf? You can tell your parents or tell your siblings which one you are. Now, the story I read was about a little girl who, when the game was being played, she went up to the leader, and the leader had said, okay, the giants are going to go in that corner, and the dwarfs go over here, and the wizards go over here. And she goes up to the guy, and she says, but where do the mermaids go? And he said, what? And she said, you said there's giants, and there's wizards, and there's dwarfs, and I get that, but I am a mermaid. Where do I go? Sometimes we know exactly who we are, even if other people around us might not recognize us. Other times, people have to tell us a little bit. I used to play soccer, and I was reasonably good at defense, and I scored more goals than was fair. But one year, I was trying out for this team, and there was like 200 kids or something at this practice, and there were no goalies. And one of the coaches looked at me and he said, I think you should play goalie. And I kind of laughed at him because I was used to being this defenseman who could cheat, move up, and score for my team. And I thought this was silly. But he said, no, go play goalie. And then I did, and I stopped quite a few balls. And in the end, it wound up happening that I wound up being a goalie for like 5, 6, 7 years in a row. And there was actually multiple seasons we won the whole championship. And one year, the best year we had, we won the entire season without giving up one goal. And then it was the championship game, and the ball was coming towards me, and it hit a rock, and it bounced over me, and it went in. And that was the first time the whole season we had let a goal in as a team. And the whole time I was thinking, I'm not really a goalie. In the story that the grown-ups are listening to today, there's this guy named Simon who's in the story. And when he comes to Jesus, Jesus looks at Simon and says, I'm going to call you Rocky. Now, if you know the story a little bit, you'll know that Simon is also called Peter. And when push comes to shove, Peter almost always says the wrong thing. He's not very reliable. And when near the cross time at the end of the story, he's the one that Jesus says, look, you're going to deny me 3 times before the cock crows. And he says, no way, I'm awesome. I'm not going to do that. And then, sure enough, he denies him 3 times because Peter is unstable. And yet Jesus looks at him and says, I'm going to call you the rock because you don't know it yet. But you actually are capable of this. You are going to prove to be this strong, stable, build on person that we're going to build the church on. So I wanted to point that out to you because I think Jesus sees each and every one of us for who we really are. Some of us already know we're like the little girl who's a mermaid. Some of us don't know, you're like me, and you need a coach or somebody to help you out to figure out what you're good at. But Jesus sees through wherever we are, sees the real us, and calls us to be that person in the world. And so if you don't know yet, just wait. He'll tell you in all kinds of ways. Maybe your parents help, maybe teachers help, maybe coaches help, maybe instructors of various sorts help. But you'll hear over the course of our lives, and this is true for the adults as well, we hear from God through people who it is we are really meant to be, and often it doesn't look like we would expect.